not a lot's changed in Cannon Park. They're still building, and phase 5, I think.
They're still working.
Yeah, I think they're still working. Homes continue to be built in Emerald Ridge, Sector 4. Shallow Creek, same thing, Phase 2, Sector 4. Cosland, I think they should be coming. Is it Phase 4 that they're almost done?
That's the last one.
That's the last one.
Then maybe we would go
Then they
east,
go
but I
across
don't
the
think they're
street,
doing east.
Aberdeen, they're still working out there. Timberline, they're building houses in 6, and they're still working on Phase 7. Waterford, that's tonight. Dunsmore, still the same thing. Seth Gardens, they're working out there.
Hey, got a question
Quick.
regarding Waterford. What's the prerequisite for them to start Phase 7? Like, if there's some kind of...
Oh, Timberline?
Sorry.
Timberline?
Yeah, Timberline. Is there some kind of...
They had to have that second entrance in on Phase 6 before they could move dirt and stuff before that, but now they
Okay.
can just start.
So, yeah, so I know they're doing a lot of stuff out there, but I guess is there some requirement to build so many houses or anything? Or they can, like, they could start putting in roads and houses? Okay, in 7?
Yes, inside.
Okay.
Mill Point, they have submitted preliminary plats, but that's going to be, they got a lot of work to do. They may be on the next meeting.
No, I was gonna say they're
They're saying
wanting to
they
be on
are.
the next agenda for September.
And Comfort Inn, several building plans have been submitted and under review. Holiday Inn, yeah, civil plans have been approved for that, and the building plans are being looked at now.
And they started
Yeah, they started moving dirt. The dentist office, how far are they on that?
they were putting the plumbing on those.
So they may have a little bit more to go. Wendy's, they have submitted plans. The convenience store on 42 and 70, the civil plans have been approved and they're awaiting building plans. Homestead Suites, they're steadily working on it. On Miss Mavis Tire, they're real close to being finished. They're about to open. Yeah. Waffle House, they had their civil plans approved, but I haven't heard anything from them for a while.
They got their land disturbance.
Yeah. McWayne Industries, that's going to be a big industrial building. What are they doing?
It's that addition that they came and
I love that.
setbacks that
Yeah, y'all are.
they said the setbacks.
Y'all remember that. King's Crossings come back up. The civil plans have been submitted and are under review. That's the ones across from, on the same side of the 31 markets on that triangle piece. And Cosland Convenience Store, the civil plans have been submitted.
What is that one gonna be up there?
What's that?
King's Crossing?
King's
It's
Crossing?
gonna be mini.
Little strip malls.
Strip mall?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's undoubtedly got a restaurant on one end, because they've got a drive-through
Yeah, drive-through.
on the furthest away from Morgan.
And the Cosland civil plans have been submitted and waiting for. And that's it.
You just have to launch it.
That's it.
That's it.
Tired.
Are we all over the country?
No.
That was short and sweet. I don't guess we have anything else in our work session.
I mean,
To discuss the two,
you got rezonings and
yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead, yeah. Okay, we'll do that. Excuse me. Will you give us some insight on that, Joe?
the rezoning.
Yeah.
It's E1 now, and it wants to go to A1. That was originally one whole piece, but it was split in two, and they want to be rezoned to A1 because of the house requirement and accessory structure. But E1 wouldn't allow that. So that's that, and the surrounding homeowners have all approved this, or they're good with it as long as there are no trailers. So I don't know how you stipulate that. Very close.
You can approve with conditions, but those conditions are not in your ordinance, so you're making an exception to your ordinance. You do have the power to do that, but you want to be careful to do that because then everybody will, start asking for exceptions. So you could say you're going to approve the rezoning, except that the person cannot put a mobile home on it. The person will need to agree, the owner of the property will need to agree to that in the record. So you have that in the record and in the minutes, or it needs to be part of the resolution of approval.
Won't they have to attach that to their deed? So
Yeah,
that-
go follow the land, that's right.
Yeah.
Go follow the land. If they can't
Whose
put a mobile home.
responsibility is that to attach it to the deed?
You can record it anytime. You can record
What's the
same.
acreage of the split?
Eight.
I want to say it was like 17, 18 acres.
10 and 8?
I don't know, it's more than that.
Before it was split. You know what he was asking?
Yeah. Yes, before.
21 or 9,
I got 19.
yeah.
So it's 19 in the beginning,
Yes,
so 10 and 9.
I believe that's right. That's like,
So both will be A1s?
yes, they'll both be 8.
Is that the triangle right there we're looking at?
Yes,
That's one.
That's
and
one piece
The
of
other
it.
piece is the bottom piece.
this is right in my corner. And that's the other piece.
Okay, gotcha. And how far down 25 is that?
Right across from Magnon.
The entrance to McMahon, right across,
Just before 42.
where the white fence starts.
So you'll have the power to agree to a condition, authority to, but, we don't recommend it for the reason somebody's got to keep up with it, and somebody's going to make sure it applies throughout, and it's different from the ordinance. You've got an ordinance where you set what should happen in certain zoning categories, and y'all decided, the city has decided that's the best way to do this, so this would be an exception to what you've already decided.
And A1 is, a trailer is a special exception in A1, so they would have to get approved through ZBA for that.
That's the reason I was asking whether it was attached to the deed so that it would be there for ever and ever.
Which would mean, if they come to get a special exception, the current property owners that surround would get a notice.
So that is
So they would
currently
have
on
it.
A1. That's currently a,
Yes,
That's
that is
currently the
first
A1,
one.
yeah.
Yes.
Mobile home is the special exception,
and must go in front of,
yeah, the ZBA. So if it's 10 years down the road and our ordinance doesn't change, then somebody wants to put a mobile home there, they'll have to come and get a special exception. It goes to ZBA, and the current surrounding property owners would get a letter to where they could come and state theirs.
that would be easier to manage than any
Yes.
section we put with it.
What does our current comp plan say for the area? Is it,
Low residential. That's it right there.
all right, thank you.
And that's Waterford that we'll be talking about tonight.
Can you point out there what he wants to be changed?
Um,
So everybody's.
Need a ruler?
yeah,
I don't have one.
Did you read my thing, Bert?
You need a ruler?
it won't work on James's new stuff.
James, really?
So the blue, all the blue area will be new. The top part of that yellow,
There you go, Dre.
yes,
There
thank you,
go.
James, will be new.
No, that's what he's wanting to keep the 60 foot.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
new as in
yeah.
it's not here.
So he wants to change the master plan
Correct.
in that yellow part, go back, in the yellow part, it stays the way it was, is that right, Tammy? Okay, and then what is he asking to be changed?
We want all those 60-foot lots turned to 70-foot lots that were originally not approved for building because of the secondary entrance that we've all been complaining about, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, this is a different one, different entrance.
No,
No,
this is
this
the
is the
second.
secondary
This
entrance
is
to
the one off
the
of
primary
Village.
master plan
Okay.
that he never established or put in. And to change that, is that going to negate the fact that we've already asked him to give us a game plan on that secondary entrance? And I guess just to clarify, the letter that we got from Bradley states that they want the original 60-foot lots, or there may be an issue with their sale agreement. Did I read that correctly?
So, I'm here on behalf of Bradley, and I think I wrote that letter. The concerns in the letter would be rectified if this was approved. I believe it was probably December that we were tasked with trying to come up with a solution that would work for everybody. Took a little bit of time. Mr. Reamer can obviously talk about what has changed in his situation, but I think it's such that if this were to go through, he's got a several amount of lots in the 60s, et cetera, that were already platted or he's done some development in. And so that's why he kept those. But otherwise, there's the blue and the 70, and everything else is in accordance with Adam's contracts. It's the ongoing litigation. And so we have reviewed this. We think this not only satisfies our concerns, but also is going to likely lead, and again, I'll let Mr. Reamer speak to some of the changes that I think are very positive developments, but lead towards getting rid of the homeowners' complaints, which is finishing up the areas that are undone, the roads, et cetera. And so we support this in contrast to what we've previously stated were issues with both the homeowners' complaints and with what we had as it relates to our purchase agreements.
So, I guess I'm just going to thank you for that clarification, because I was under the impression that you didn't want to change it. Y'all actually want to change it, y'all are for it. But outside of that, the secondary entrance, in my opinion, is not a complaint of the neighborhood, it's a safety concern in the original way that the PUD was created, correct?
Yes.
You got to have 2 points of egress. So it's not so much the concern of the neighborhood being happy or mad.
You don't have to have 2 points egress, you just have to have at least a secondary emergency.
Okay. But it doesn't
Right.
currently have.
It does not have that.
Open to the public, it can be a closed access.
So if he could create an access, even if it's not even passable other than with a gate, you got a gate that maintains it, keep traffic on it, it would suffice.
It would meet our requirement.
But that should be our concern, more so than everything else, the safety concern, which was originally wrote into it. And
Well,
I'm
that's
not
what we've
speaking
been
for
saying.
myself, I'm not speaking
Yeah,
for
well,
everybody
that's,
else.
this council, like for the last year, has been asking for a second entrance because of all of the concerns of the neighbors. And so that he was told, Mr. Rimmer was told that before we would approve anything else, that we wanted that second entrance. Which on that, right there, I see the main entrance, but the second one should be down there where the blue and red, the village
To the
ends.
top right.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's
actually
not.
on the plan,
It's
it's
down there.
just
I mean,
not there.
it's just, yeah. Okay, I can see it's like really, yeah,
Yeah, it's
smaller.
just small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Reamer speak to that, but our understanding and part of our approval of all this is that for construction to move forth, there will be the second entrance, and that's all part of this plan. So that's all part of why we're here in support of the passage of this approval.
So what do we know about the second entrance? Mr. Rimmer? Good to see you again.
How are y'all?
Doing well.
No, if we can approve this, and I think we have, obviously, Adams Homes, Bradley's approval. We have HOA president is supposed to be here to speak in favor. My ex-wife is now out of the picture, so she is, and she wouldn't object to this. But the agreement with the city is I will begin construction on the second entrance as soon as I can. Before I have to record a map, I have to have the second entrance bonded or completed, but I plan on starting as soon as I can get city approval. And understand there's some time here with the DOT to get them, it's not gonna happen the day after the city approves it, but whatever time it takes to get through the Department of Transportation to allow us to work on their right of way, we will begin as soon as possible on that.
So what, I guess what would be there to protect us in the instance that we approve this? Adams gets all their building permits and their lots as chosen, and you go out there and start grading a little bit, but it doesn't come to completion. Is there a bonding process in that?
The 2014 agreement is still in place that he has with the city that requires for, additional lots to be platted, et cetera, that he goes and gets the second north entrance bonded. So,
Plotted.
plotted. Well, bonded so that you could then plat any particular lots. So there's still the restriction, if this gets passed, that there's not going to be any immediate construction until that entrance is taken care of due to the 2014 agreement that remains in effect.
Let me correct that. There will be construction, but before the city signs a record map, I would like to start construction as soon as the DOT approves it. But there are some lots that are close to ready to sell to Adams that I will have to bond with the city to allow the city to issue or to sign a record map. You can't sell a lot unless it's recorded with the city. So what I expect to happen is construction to begin and bond the improvements for the city. So you'll have a bond for 150% of the construction cost. And y'all will not, I would assume, sign a record map until it's bonded or completed. That's the way the 14th agreement is.
The construction,
Either bonded or completed.
the construction, not of the road, but of the buildings.
Of the turn, no, of the turn lane.
Okay.
And to clarify what I was saying, I said the word construction, but what I meant is the city wouldn't approve another plat until that occurs. It doesn't change anything as to what's already been approved or is with the existing framework of north portion of Waterford. But in essence, and I think Mr. Reamer can testify, but there's like 8 lots that have been developed that are sitting there ready to go, and there's some that are half-baked, but they still would need additional development. But the rest of those lots, the majority of them, and when I say majority, I mean the vast majority of the new ones, he wouldn't be able to plat them or do anything with them or sell them to Adams until that entrance is bonded or built.
So, a couple of trick questions. So, we approved the master plan, agreed to the 70-foot lots, which is better for us. There's still a process that they have to go through that can be held accountable for the entrance before a building permit is given up. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
That's what he's saying. I'm just making sure what he's saying is correct for what I'm understanding.
I mean, it depends on what the preliminary plat says, and these are final, you haven't asked for final plats for these?
I have, for the,
It's a master plan, so we
It's a
haven't
master
got.
Yeah, the master plan,
I
he wants to
guess,
amend the master plan.
Correct.
But then your agreement says no more development until the second entrance is.
We'll get another plat set up, another plat map.
Yeah, so if you agree to the plat map, you're agreeing to let him move forward on some development, and the second entrance has not been done.
But not the master plan.
The master plan you can amend, it's the preliminary plat that goes for each phase that y'all are approving that allows him to start work.
Okay, we're only looking at master plan tonight.
That's what my understanding is from his proposal.
So,
But if you approve the preliminary plat, obviously you're giving him permission to start development, and your 2014 agreement says no more development until the second entrance is bonded or done.
So I'm simple-minded, I have to walk through this, and I apologize for y'all. This
No,
process.
it's a good discussion.
Yeah, so my understanding is we approved this, we agreed to the 70-foot lots, which is better for us, they're very bigger than 60, so it's better for the community. After this, he'll have to bring us a plat map, and at that point, we'll have to have everything bonded before we can approve that plat map. We'll need to have the secondary entrance bonded.
No, before there's a record map, the way it reads is before a record map is issued.
And that would be the final plat.
That'll be the final plat. But understand, some of these lots were approved and have pipe in the ground that was approved years
So
ago.
here's the dance, right?
Yeah,
You're trying to sell something and build something so you can have some money to actually put it into the secondary entrance. And I get that. I'm just trying to figure out where the loophole is and where we can get stuck like we did last time without a completion. So you keep going back to the 8 that are close to finalized and buildable. Will that happen, and will we be forced to permit them? In other words, by law, we have to permit them before the construction starts, or at least the bonding starts on the secondary entrance. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Plain and simple.
For the 8th part of the preliminary plat you've already approved?
Are the current 8 part of the original
The
master plan?
8 are already recorded and totally out of this deal.
They're in the final plat before the.
There's a final plat already
So
recorded.
y'all
There
have
are,
already approved that.
there
That
are,
would be a moot point, other than the
So then
fact
unless
that
he's
once
not
we-
complying with whatever the permit process
yeah,
is.
the eight are not, are done. Adam just hadn't closed them yet. But, and I guess you're asking a question I hadn't really thought about, but I cannot sell a lot until y'all issue, the city signs a record plat. So Adams Homes is not gonna go out there and build a house on a lot they don't own. So I don't think they can, Trey, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, I mean, the only options that would really be available to anybody is a purchase of raw land up until the time that he bonds it for anything that's not currently platted, or there's not already some, you know, platting in the process. So again, when you've got the 8 lots, which have already been platted, and someone could come in and develop that tomorrow, and that's an ongoing dispute amongst the parties, but that can get resolved, I believe. The rest of the raw lands that are being put in here, this is just a general plan of what could be submitted in the future, but the restrictions that the city has, which requires Mr. Reamer, or whoever the developer is, to put in the second entrance before anything else gets platted so they can sell to any home builders, would, again, I think protect the majority, if not almost all, of the lots that are being redesigned in this master plan.
I think the city is protected by the fact that y'all aren't gonna sign a record plat, even though there are lots of asphalt and curb and gutter in front of them today, that I could bring, and I brought a record plat in 2019 that the city wouldn't approve, but I can bring a record plat tomorrow, but y'all aren't gonna sign it, and I wouldn't ask you to sign it unless I bonded the turn lane.
Fair enough.
I think you are well protected as far as that goes.
Out of these lots here, these 8 lots, what size lots is the 8 lots he's talking
Seventies.
about?
No, they are,
Are they 60?
they are 60s in the town, they were townhouse lots, we resurveyed them to 60-foot lots. But they are completely out of anything on this.
So in this map, this is a little confusing to see where, like, what new development you're looking at. What is the breakdown of size of homes that you're proposing?
I can't read, it's,
Like, do you know how many homes it is?
north and south, all told, it's 800.
Oh, just on that right there that we're looking at.
The part that we're rechanging the master plan to.
400-ish.
400, okay. So how many of those are 70s?
Can anybody?
There's a, I got another one over
Yeah,
there.
it's on the plat, I just can't read that
I
right.
just don't have it on my, I
I
don't
got
see it
my
on my.
magnifying
287.
glass.
But that's the total, that's not the new.
No, that's all new, those are new.
Those are all new?
Those are
Yeah.
new totals. And understand,
So 350, okay, but that's not north, that's the north and south, not just north, right?
This is, that's just more.
All this is north.
But you just told me 400, and if I add all this up, that's way more than 400.
That's including what's there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
okay.
So I wanna know-
I misspoke.
I want to know what, yeah, is in
Yeah,
addition.
that 359 is everything that you A large chunk of that yellow is already done. It's
Mhm.
got houses.
Yeah. So we're looking at mostly the blue, which is 70,
So
and then what else are we looking at?
the green 80s.
You got 80s, the
Do
pink,
y'all remember how many you have under contract, unfinalized?
that pink is 80.
Yeah, like
80?
102.
Okay.
So we're talking about 70 and 80s besides the 80s, 60s.
We had some 40-foot lots involved in this.
Well, I'm
Sorry?
here.
There's more
Yeah, we
than
basically talk about 102 lots is the bulk of the lots to be resurveyed. Or is there lots that you don't have under contract?
There's some lots. they don't
So there's certain lots we don't have in the
Okay.
contracts.
Understand the original master plan for this.
Those are 60s.
Show them the 40s. Those 12 of them,
Yeah, it's one little cul-de-sac in
One
the
cul-de-sac
village.
right there, the 40s.
And they're staying the same way.
Understand
That's what
the
he's
last
asking next
approved
time.
master plan had everything on this blue here was platted as 40s, and everything platted as blue up there were 60s. So what we've done is drastically reduce the number of lots overall and taken away the 40, any more 40 or 60s other than the ones that have already been preliminary plat approved and are ready to record, and have pipe in the ground, ready to record. Or, not all of them are ready.
I know we talked about the 6, I don't remember you ever talking about the 1240s.
Yes, there's some 40s.
Yeah.
That was on the original.
Yeah, they're.
I'm just saying, when he's talked to us before, I know you've talked about the 60s, I don't remember us ever talking about the 40s.
I believe-
Yeah, we talked.
I think last year there's only 12 of them.
Yeah.
There's just not that many there. And they were all original, in the original
Yeah.
plan.
Mhm.
That was actually where the building stopped because of the second entrance. 'Cause that was right at the second entrance. So that's kind of what led to the halt of everything else.
And I wouldn't ask except for pipes in the ground. Y'all have actually run water laterals to some of them. I mean, would be a major task to resurvey those. And that'll be the last 40s and 60s that I'll ask for in water, but I'm giving up, I don't know how many 40s and
John,
60s.
is the yellow, in the yellow, is that your 70-foot lots?
Those are 60s.
Those are existing 60s. That's already, that's Waterford House.
Is that the piece of property that your wife owned?
No, she
Yellow?
owned,
Shown where this.
she owned this piece of blue up here,
Okay.
but that's now settled and gone away. I have that now.
All right, it's
That's what
6:30, we're gonna go ahead and start the meeting here in just a second. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do I have approval to do away with the minutes for July? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Your turn.
All right, I would like to make a motion to go into executive sessions for 30 minutes for legal counsel.
No, I'm in the agenda.
To amend the agenda for that.
Agenda.
I second.
All right. We have a motion made and second, all in favor? Opposed?
Do you have to do a roll call vote?
We'll have to, we'll leave them at 7:01.
Yeah, you need to do a roll call vote on it.
You do a roll call vote. Yeah, start with-
Aye.
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 So this is in 701.
Chairman, who's in the meeting? Who's making it?
This will be the members of the board and the team here, and the illegals for Waterford. No, not them, just us? Okay.
That would be.
On the agenda is, let's see, reports from any commission members. Do they have any reports? All right. I don't have anything. Any old business? All right, let's go over the Eric Strickland rezoning. Do we have anybody here to talk about that?
Justin Jones, I'm Inside Engineering, representing Mr. Payne, Strickland. As the pre-session stated, they're seeking A1 from E1 zoning previously. The main concern is the housing restriction on square footage and some of those accessory structures. That's what we'll be moving forward. If there are any questions.
We would want to add the restriction about the mobile homes on that.
Right, they said they gave letters of intent that they were, not wanting to do any kind of mobile home, anything they needed to do to be able to set that.
Any discussion?
Grace, like you said, though, that's a special exception, so they wanted to come back if I were to do that, they'd still have to come back before us. So we don't have to make that caveat right now.
You don't have to do that Calera now, they still need to do an extra step before they did it. What you're talking about is prohibiting it at all. Okay, so that's what you're, a condition of approval that would be, regardless of what our current ordinance says, you're not permitted to put it on even if you were able to get that permit.
So we could go forward with moving without the conditional, since there is something in place that would have to come back forward before you.
Yeah, so if they were to want to put a trailer on, they would have to come back and get an exemption made, which would be in front of the Board of Adjustments.
No, sounds like you'll have something in
Yeah.
place too, so.
And all
we could go-
property, all the joint property owners will get notified.
And we already have 1 acre, which I don't even think we do trailer mobile homes anymore, but I think the regulations that would supersede or come into play would be 1 acre per trailer, but it would never get approved because we actually pulled all of them out of the new regs, so.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Hold on, let's
Well, we got more? Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Landon Jones. I'll probably leave this microphone. My name is Landon Jones, and I'm probably for the same thing on Highway 25, right where McMahon Highlands is. And my concern was, I read the information, I read the addendum. Now, my concern is also mobile homes. My concern also is apartments. There's no listing that's saying no apartments, because it does zone, reading that, it could be zoned for commercial or residential commercial. So, apartments lower the values of homes in that community right there. Also, all new homes should be written as being built on a slab, which makes the value go up in that neighborhood. So I just want to make sure that if it's not in there, we need to, be specific, and no manufactured homes, because those are also the size, very similar to a trailer, just on cinder blocks, so to speak. And I just want to make sure that we don't lower our values of the homes there by allowing those types of homes in that area. Thank you.
Mr. Landon,
Yeah, that's not allowed.
A1 is not allowed to have apartments.
right,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it's not allowed.
So what about the manufactured homes?
The mobile homes are allowed as a special exception, which means they would have to come to the Board of Adjustment and ask permission, and then the surrounding property owners would get a notice and could come to that meeting and voice their concern at that meeting.
So we don't get a vote after all the money we pay for those homes as to someone putting a trailer across the street from
You would
any
get
of
a,
the community?
they would listen to you if you came to the meeting.
They would have to ask for permission to
Yeah,
put
they'd
that
have to
trailer.
ask for permission to do it.
Does that include, though, I don't know that that completely addressed the question. We talked about mobile homes, but what about manufactured homes? And maybe I don't know the definition, but I think I do. I think it's modular. Modular.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
hold on, let me look. I don't want to speak wrong.
Grace. Do we have the ability to put a conditional?
You do, you have that authority, we do not recommend it, because you already have a zoning ordinance that states what these properties are gonna be used for. You have certain requirements that people have to make. But yes, you do have the authority to approve a condition like that, as long as the owner is in agreement. Now, the person who spoke, I think, was representing the owner, so he would have to have the authority to agree to that condition before I think you could vote on it.
And for clarity, I did speak with the owner that's directly across from the property that's being developed, because it is, whether y'all know it or not, you probably know, it's already being developed. There's a fence there, which means they're building on it. There's a fence, like a completed fence, exception for the wooden crossbars. All the pole stakes are there for the fence. They also ran plumbing there. They also have it, it's kind of hidden from people who don't live there, but I've seen them behind all those trees that are there. They've been allowing the land to settle after they ran plumbing or whatever they ran up under there, because I watched it develop on my cameras on my home. They're just waiting for approval to drop slab. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not, because I don't care, because they're good people. Don't get me wrong, they're good people. But I just want to make sure that the rules are being followed, so that we won't get any negative looks in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just say that.
The table says it is manufactured or modular homes, is both, that's under the special exception. So it
Okay.
covers the modular and the manufactured.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
For the property owner, would you be willing to have that conditional zoning placed?
Sure,
There's a letter in your.
there's
packet
a letter,
I gave y'all
Mayor, that we
signed.
both signed and sent, I think, to you.
Yeah, I got it.
And we're absolutely, I got more in that electric gate and the fence and the mobile home costs. We're not gonna do that, I promise, and it's not gonna be a modular home.
So,
It's gonna be a stick-built home. There's 112 yards of concrete going in the slab.
so that limitation will follow this land, okay? And it will be inconsistent with your current ordinance. So someone's gonna have to keep up with it, you probably record this, but then somebody internally is gonna have to remember, this is different than what your ordinance says, okay?
You know, I don't think that's a real problem if, how many acres is it? How many?
10, it's 10 acres and 9 acres.
So.
He's got the 9 and I've got the 10.
All that would have to even be subdivided. It would have to be subdivided many times to get you that accomplished, but if
Wouldn't you have to divide it up into 1 acre
To
lots?
put a trailer? No.
Oh, is that right? I got too many kinfolk, that ain't gonna
No.
happen.
I like having this letter tied to I like having his consent tied to C1 to A1 personally.
All right. You can do that.
I know it's not required.
You talking about the letters we already,
Your letter
Say it, sure.
as a property owner saying
that we're not gonna put them on?
you're not into that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And see, it goes.
I would also record that on your
It's
deed.
their ownership. They say we the owner,
Yeah, well, it follow the land.
So,
It's gonna follow the land.
It follows the land, but, if
So
he
if
sells it, it
it's
still
yeah.
follows that land, that property.
But if we wanted to put a mobile home, we'd still have to come back
You'd have to ask for permission.
here anyway, then you're not gonna approve it. So
We're really interested in the adjacent properties, we see what's built out there.
Sure.
We don't want to deviate from,
No, no,
look
it's not gonna,
values that they've already established, so.
no problem.
All right, does anybody else want to talk on the rezoning? Can I have a motion to accept?
Okay, which one are you doing?
We're doing the one we just got through talking about. We gotta do one at a time.
No, that's, yeah.
We gotta do two of them, correct?
Yes, correct.
Correct. So we're talking about the Eric Strickland one right now.
Okay.
Can I have a motion made to accept that to go to A1 zoning?
Is this what, subject to the limitation or not?
Subject to the limitations with the attachment of the letter.
I'll make that motion from E1 to A1 for the Strickland property with his contingency of this letter that the property owners of record have asked for.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ayes have it. Now the rezoning for Jerry Payne, 14740 Highway 25. I think is an adjoining piece of property. Is there anybody here to talk or say anything negative about the rezoning? Yeah, y'all already spoke, anything you have going on there? All right, do I have a motion to accept going on from E1 to A1
I'll make that motion.
with the
It's the same type motion with the property owner's consent written. We all have a copy of that that follows the property from E1 to A1, Jerry Payne.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Now the matter of the master plan approval for Waterford subdivision. Is there anybody out here that would like to talk about this other than what we talked about during the work session? Anything else to add to it?
And Bree, you asked about those 60-foot lots up there?
Yes,
97.
and the yellow,
Yeah.
97. That's already been platted? No?
Mr. Reamer, talking about construction on this phase, the North Park, the Waterford subdivision,
Yes, sir.
where do you plan on putting the construction entrance for that, if we were to approve and you move forward?
Well, that's for the,
Come to the microphone, please.
okay, I'm sorry. For the new 70-foot lots off the second entrance would come in there, the existing other lots will have to come in the main entrance. There's just not a place, the way it's set up, to bring a good construction entrance in. Kind of fought that battle, and the city has load limited the concrete trucks and construction trucks from,
We're very serious about cities, streets that have been seal coated and we have the maintenance on.
yes,
So in that construction of that part, would you be willing to bond that parkway?
wow. I've seal coated it once. I think the load restrictions, I think y'all have it fairly well covered in load restrictions. It,
I think we may need to do something to protect that as well. The second entrance for the additional lots, the construction entrance for that, where are you talking about putting that?
the second entrance that's shown on the map for those 70s that come off that, which would not be seal coated on the turn lane until the city approves it. You're catching me. I hadn't thought about it, but we went through this in 2003 or 4, and the city put restrictions on all construction trucks, and I think it's pretty restrictive for the concrete trucks to go in there right now.
We did that in about 2012,
Okay,
so
well,
I'm aware of it.
I thought it was earlier than that.
It's something we didn't pay attention to, and I'm real interested in the second entrance for the neighborhood. Did you ever get with the Spire Energy about the relocation of that gas line?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a cost estimate to present this board from Spire Energy?
Spire is gonna do it at their cost, no charge to me.
Can you get us
I'll
a,
get you a copy of that.
can you get us an agreement on that?
Well, I have what I have is an email from them that says, but that's all I have at this point.
Well, you're allegedly saying they're not charging you anything to,
No, sir, relocate Highway 70, so
that's good news for you.
that's great news. They didn't before.
When will they, have you ordered that work to be done?
I have not until I get approval.
If it's gonna be done free, let's get it done last week.
Well, there's some grading and some shoulder work and all that has to be done on the south. It'll be done on the south side of 70, so it'll take some time to get that shoulder work done for them to do what they're gonna do.
For the north side, the second entrance to this is the north side.
Well, there's no relocation on the north side that I know of. There's a 4-inch gas main that used to feed Columbiana that Spire took over that is that will be affected and is on the south side of the road, which will really be the shoulder work on Highway 70 as we do this turn lane.
So they're gonna kill that 4-inch main?
No, sir. It's got to be relocated, or the road will be widened, so I assume what they're going to do, what they did before was they relocated that gas line outside of the asphalt. So I assume that's what they had in mind here.
I was under the assumption that's on the north side, so
No.
It's on the side.
it's on the south side.
Yeah, there's no spire work on the north side of 70 that I know of.
We have gas on the north side.
Yeah.
I guess you can imagine our reluctance and concern with this situation and why we put so much thought and consideration in it. We base off history, experience, and sometimes when you get bit, it's hard to go back and not have that kind of reaction. With that, is there any other questions from anybody else? Are we ready to make a motion?
No, who wants to speak?
All right, can, state your name, where you live.
Cyril Dabira. I live in Waterfall, 648 Waterfall Lane. Okay, my wife here almost lost her life today on the road, 70, because it's so congested, you know. And I have to take off more, come here, tell you guys. I know it's good to have all this house out there, but people live out there. And losing my wife today, when she called me on the phone, this road, all this housing building, when they build this house, and I'm not against this project, but people live out there. They go all come to this road. Okay? So if my wife was not here today, because you're gonna build all these things out there, you got what they're planning for different out. How people going different, which goes a different road to get out. Not just the same road all the time. So that's a great measure. You got to have other road, you know. So I just want to consider that when we vote. You know.
I think it's what we're talking about is building a second entrance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard this single entrance for a long time.
Yeah, we have to.
Thank you.
And that's what we're trying to make sure that it happens.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You got one more?
All right, we got anybody else want to say anything? Yes, sir, come to the mic. Tell us who you are, where you live.
I'm Terrell Likes. I live in Waterford. I'm the president of the subdivision. And of course, I've been to many of these meetings and listened over and over. And I've had a lot of the same concerns you guys have had, and I've listened to it. And I'm seeing a little bit of a different spin now in a hopefully a positive way. I hope when we get to moving forward a little bit. And I get what this young man here to say about when you bid, it kind of makes things hard. Yes, that's a negative thing in the neighborhood sometimes. But again, I think if we're going in the right direction and the criteria are met from these guys that they were supposed to have done, I feel like at this point, you know, hey, they've showed some improvement in the right direction. Me personally, I want to see our subdivision grow, even though we lost the north side as being part of Waterford, turned to a different name. I'm past that point. That was a little frustrating. But again, now we have the other 400, I think, some lots still inside of Waterford. My progress, I want to see that continue to go ahead and start building now, if we could. Because again, as y'all know, inflation is ridiculous. And with the cost of that, you know, we have things in the neighborhood when it was built that money was allotted for maintenance of things in our subdivision. Therefore, we have not been able to 100% achieve all the maintenance and the things we need to do because we hadn't been able to get that building process started. Then we get people in our community fussing at us like, don't raise dues, don't raise dues, don't raise dues. Well, looking around and talking to other subdivisions around Calera, I would say we have done really well since I've been on board 6 years now. And I have voted to keep dues from going up because in hopes of, hey, we're gonna get this building, guys, we're gonna get this building, so you guys don't have to raise your dues, which we're not paying much. I mean, $378 a year to have more amenities than anybody in Calera, not bad. But again, I love my community and I want to try to help in any way I can to keep costs down for everybody, so we can, you know, be a community, have fun things, be outgoing. Because honestly, if you go around town, I mean, a lot of people talk about Waterford. You know, years ago it was all negative mostly, but now you go places and everybody like, I want to move to Waterford, I want to move to Waterford. I don't know, in subdivision doing the things y'all do. Y'all do carnivals, you do 4th of July spectacular event, all this other stuff. And like I said, again, that was my goal in coming on, to rebuild Waterford to a different standard of the negative that we had years ago. From, oh, we're supposed to have this second interest, we can get it, this happened, that happened, that happened. I want to move forward past all that if we can. Let's find wherever that happy medium is that we need to get to. Let's get there. Let's not drag this out for another 15, 20 years. I don't plan on being no more that long. I want to see this hopefully in the next couple of years if we can take place and be finished. But that's just my take on it again. I think you guys do a great job. What y'all do, I know y'all a lot on y'all plate. I respect you guys. But again, like I said, let's try to keep this going in the right direction forward and let's make something happen.
Thank you, sir. I think we're all on the same page. We're trying to move forward on it as much as we can. All right, do I have a motion to approve the master plan approval?
I want to make a motion with 2 stipulations to be on the motion. One, that the 2014 agreement stands with, I guess, concurrent, how would I word that? That the 2014.
Well, I just first of all have him say on the record, he understands that he can't further develop and stated in the 2014 agreement.
Perfect. Mr. Reamer, you mind coming to the mic one more time? We got 2 little stipulations that are quick and simple.
All right.
Just to protect us from getting bit by a dog again.
Yes, sir.
So just need you to state on the record that you agree with the approval of the master plan, that the, how did I word that again?
I'd say, did you agree that the July 7, 2014 agreement between you and your company LLC and the city of Calera remains in full force and effect?
I do.
Make that a point of record, please. Also, the second one is that you will formulate a construction entrance to start the construction. I know John had mentioned the main entrance. How do we need to, that was kind of a loop that I wasn't expecting.
We've got load restrictions, but that's very, very difficult for us as a developer builder.
Who polices that?
You have to understand that will be enforced.
Yes. I'm,
And
y'all enforced it years gone by. There's not a good place unless we cut across through the apartments in Kensington next door, which only compounds their problems, but there's just not the way Waterford's set up today, there's just not a good way to do it unless I can go to Lawast and see if we can use their road. I gave them an easement years ago for logging trucks. I can try that. But there's just not a good way of getting there, unfortunately.
Where would that come in?
Just at the very south, it's actually shown. No, it's not shown, but would be that piece right there, but I'm not, please understand, I don't know that they'd be agreeable to that at all.
Would you mind exploring that option?
I will be glad to explore that option.
We're just trying to, for the subdivision president back here, we're just trying to make it a pleasant experience.
Yes, sir, no doubt.
You know, we're just trying to cover all the bases.
Yes, sir.
So, back to my motion. Make the motion as stated with the agreements that you'll honor the 2014 agreement and that you'll seek the assistance of Lawast to use their logging entrance to use as a construction entrance. And I imagine the city would be glad to intervene and help with that, so would the county commission. So we can try to get involved with that and be glad to do so.
I'll call them tomorrow.
I'll make that motion.
Just want to, real quick before I vote, make sure I understand. So before we prelim plat anything else other than what's already prelim platted, that second entrance is going to be bonded as per our agreement? Or what else did we say in that agreement?
Or built.
Bonded or built. And the way
The bond, you had a bond at one time for a short period of time. You put that cash bond in our hand.
Yes, sir, I did.
And then I was instructed by our attorneys to release that back to you.
Well, I took 2 record plats to Chris Pappas, and Tammy can verify this in 2019 after I put the bond up to get recorded. And I was told that the city would not put plats because y'all were starting to redo your regulations. So that's what happened there. Without the money from selling those lots, there's no point in putting a bond up until y'all got your regulations figured out. Is that fair, Sir Pam?
I remember Chris telling me not to accept it. My brain's over.
Join the crowd.
When will you have that bond back in our hand for that second entrance?
As soon as I can get lots ready to, I have a little bit of work on some of the lots to finish them up and get power in to sell to Adams or somebody. So that will happen relatively quickly, partly depending on the power company. So there are 18 lots, of which 10 Adams has, but as soon as Adams says they're good, and then there's some others that are ready to go. So it won't happen tomorrow, but it'll happen shortly. It's not gonna be, because I need the money to put the bond up and hopefully get most of it back from selling those lots.
But we're saying you will have to have a construction road, not using the parkway? That's right?
The only stipulation on that is that if they can get from Lawast, the second entrance will be the construction on the right side of that. But if they can't get the construction entrance from Lawast, then they will have to come in on the main road, and we'll have to police it to make sure that they adhere to our road regulations.
That's only to service, how many lots did you say on the parkway? It was a low number of lots.
I think it's a couple hundred.
Yes, it's a couple hundred. It would be those blue lots up on the top side of the map. And what I'll try to do, Lawast Logging Road runs all through there. I will ask them if they'll let us use it. It's construction's going along and I'll be responsible for maintaining the road.
Yeah, my concern is just like, what if we're gonna have, homeowners are gonna be happy that road is torn up with those big trucks going back and forth.
It's almost impossible to police that.
Okay, sorry.
I've made the motion as stands. Obviously, we just need to try to get to some kind of conclusion and move forward with it. I believe that if we can get him to bond it in good faith, like he says he will, we should be able to move forward and hopefully build some houses and, more importantly, get the safety of the road secondary entrance.
I will agree both of those.
If you will get back with the zoning administrator about the lots,
Okay.
as soon as you know something about it, so they can get it to us, okay?
I'll make a phone call tomorrow.
All right.
Some motions on the table, need a second.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
All right, second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Position.
Opposed?
I vote.
Ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. All right, I got down here, streets, lights. What do we want to talk about on that, Tanya? What would you want to know?
It's just kind of given a rule of what the order is when we take over street lights. There's nothing in our book that says when we do it. So it's just that.
You're talking about like spacing and
That's already,
that's already in
that's
there, right?
already, that's in public works.
That's in the public works manual.
We're talking about who's going to maintain them afterwards.
Take over payment.
And at what point we take over?
At what point we take over payment. Paying the power bill, basically.
Is this a discussion or are we actually making a motion?
This is a discussion, because we have to do a resolution, and I'll have to send out public notices for it.
You can make changes.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you want to change any of the wording that we had.
Did you ever contact that, what he's asked you? I asked somebody up there, I think it was Fultondale, I think is where it was. And they have agreements with their subdivisions that they will take over the payment of the lights if they put in the security system that Alpine Power's got. And the homeowners association pays for that.
The
We
license,
pay for the
license
lights.
plate cameras. License plate cameras. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, some kind of cameras, I'm not sure what right name. I understand.
James knows.
James, can you
That would be flock. Flock.
block? Okay. I was
But the homeowner association has to assume the cost?
of that system, and then the city would assume the lights.
Can I speak?
I'm assuming they're in comparison price-wise, James?
Yes, I'm not sure if their price is different from what the government price is, but I think it's somewhere in the area of like $300 or $400 a month per camera.
Per camera.
Per camera.
Oh, wow.
But,
Put it in the interest only?
but now you gotta
Yeah,
understand.
typically,
what
that's
the-
where they are, really.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, Waterford is one that they pay for the camera out of their HOA, but the caveat to that is the police department does have access. So that's how Fox business model is. So that's really what they prefer is the HOAs pay for the camera system as like added security feature.
What you gotta understand is these things read the tag number. Every tag number that goes into that subdivision, if it comes back on a hit, the police department's notified.
Wow.
And,
Is that stolen vehicles and?
yes, everything.
Yeah, it's
He told me that they put a camera
In Calera.
Really?
yeah. He said they put one outside of Target And they picked up 5 stolen cars the first day.
Yes, they are, the police department has several, and they are very, very good. Very good.
Wow.
So I mean, we've been talking about security. I know the lights are a security factor that we were talking about, but this to me will go over the top on that. If we could come up with an agreement with the HOAs or something. Now, I don't know what we'd do with subdivisions that don't have an HOA. I don't know what the answer would be there, but I think that would be a pretty good compromise if it's affordable with the city fathers, I don't know.
Wow.
David, you comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we do, when we're making a change to this, I want you to keep in mind that we do have subdivisions that don't have HOAs, and we do have subdivisions that started out with HOAs, but then they dissolved. So we do have some subdivisions now that don't have an HOA, and the power to these lights have been cut off. So I think we need to take all that into consideration when we're making an adjustment to this.
It's a great point.
Yeah. Anybody have a suggestion?
So what are you saying, Debbie, are those subdivisions lights on? They just have no lights in the community at all?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The street lights have been cut off because HOH was responsible for paying them. And then when the HOH dissolved, the power didn't get paid, so the power company had no choice but to cut them off.
Yeah, a lot of the HOAs have financial issues.
Waterstone?
It is one
Yes.
So I guess my thing is, we got to be a little bit proactive when we're making an adjustment to this, to take that into consideration. The flock cameras are great, but if they can't pay the power bill, they can't pay the flock cameras.
I will say though, if in the beginning, the developer pays for the one camera to the front entrance and it's a one camera type system, and we're taking over the light, worst case scenario, they quit paying the camera bill and it goes away. There's really no loss to that. It's just their failure to pay it, and they lose that access. Now, it doesn't benefit the law enforcement at that time, but then we can try to evaluate how we need to deal with that.
Right, and I agree with that, that's a good plan, but my
Yeah.
thing is, when we make an adjustment to this, that it spells out that they have to have the flock cameras in or something. It has to be, to me, I found with some of these regulations, they are not just cut and dry.
Right.
So with this one, it needs to be a little bit time taken and cut and dry and say, you have to have X, Y, Z to get this taken care of.
Well, I think what we're trying to do on this one is decide at what point the city takes over the streetlights and starts paying in new subdivisions when they're finished.
I agree on that
Yeah.
too, but.
Because the other part, I think, would be handled in the Public Works Manual
Okay, we need
of
to.
what
we
is
need to-
required.
We need to think about both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just really spelling out when we take over.
Yeah, because Bill's working on revamping the Public Works Manual. So we may want to think about that and that part of it for the streetlights if we want to do that kind of change.
And just a caveat or side piece of that, the power company is who puts the flock cameras in and out. So the HOA would be the one signing the contract with Alabama Power. Alabama Power maintains the maintenance, insurance, permits, everything for those flock cameras. So, and I have a contact at Alabama Power. If you guys would like me, I can definitely ask him to come to a commission meeting if you guys are interested in that for some more information.
Yeah, I'd love some information on it, total cost and what it would cost for the developer, and also what the maintenance cost would be for the HOA,
Sure.
so we can decide how to move forward with that.
Yeah, I can get in touch with him and he can explain all the ins and outs of how they work with HOAs and that kind of stuff, but.
I'd love to have 100 of them around Calera.
No joke, Alabaster's got over 60 of them.
And I want 200.
Yeah. So they're very popular, they do very, very good work. I mean, just in the few that we have, we've gotten, I think, 4 kidnapped children off of them.
Absolutely.
So.
Put one in my house.
So they've been very helpful among, stolen cars and other things too. But I mean, when you get 4 kidnapped kids, I mean.
Yes, significant.
How do you put a price on that?
There is none, yeah. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
figure out the verbiage and make sure it's not a burden on anyone, but man, how do you not want to do that?
Yeah, that's, again, we have a problem with, we got subdivisions that don't have HOAs. That would be something we gotta.
What's to stop that HOA, once they get their lights turned on, to just stop them?
And that obviously could happen, and we can't do anything about that unless the city decides, hey, that's an area, that's a high crime area, then let's take that over for $300 a month. But maybe that's a good question, James, that when we look into this, what are some of the options what are all the different options allotted, and if the failure to pay the monthly, are they going to come remove the camera, or can we leave the camera and use it as a sporadic one-time event and call them and say, hey, we've had a series of burglaries in our houses or our cars, can we activate that camera? I don't know if that's possible, I'm just trying to think through if they quit paying it at the HOA.
Yeah, I'll send out the questions, and I'm sure he'd be happy to come speak to you guys and answer any questions.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Any more discussion on that? All right,
Okay, so as far as that part goes, where we're deciding when the city will take over paying the bills, are y'all good with doing it at the signature of the final plat? Because that's what we're asking.
We're talking about street lights.
Street lights.
Like this.
Yeah, yeah. The street
Yeah,
lights.
there.
After we turn over, well, not after the city accepts the street.
No,
No.
if you do that, I mean, there's streets in Timberline that's 20 years we ain't accepted them.
Yeah, the road I live on has never been accepted.
Yeah.
It's 25 years old.
We've thought that through, so you really couldn't do that.
Yeah, every subdivision and neighborhood has different criteria on maybe how they're built out. You know, you may have one that gets 90% built out in 18 months,
Yeah.
and the next one would be 20 years before 90% of it was built out. Well, 90% is the rule when we talk about seal coating
Yeah.
and taking the street after a year of maintenance. So
They still wouldn't have streetlights.
there's a big difference there. I mean, I don't want us boxed in on this, but I think some of this came, Kenny, I think some of it came in Timberline, when we were talking about the back part of Timberline. They're rapidly building houses.
But we didn't, I didn't
They
pay
can
the
stop,
bill.
they can stop at any given time.
Yeah,
And you suggested up here that hey, let's don't pay the bill until it's finished.
yeah.
Well, finished, what is finished?
Yeah.
You know, is it 80% or 70% or 90%?
Well, we got the final plat. Once we approve, the final plat's approved there, then what about the existing homes, like over in Waterstone? Their final plat, it should be
Okay.
approved.
What Bill said is there's a form that they can fill out, somebody from that neighborhood can fill out, request that we turn their streetlights back on. It would go to y'all, and y'all would vote as a council to agree.
The council has to approve that and vote on that for a lifetime expenditure. That's where that decision's actually made.
Well, like you said, the subdivision might take a long time to finish, but the security in it to get the lights on, once the final plat's recorded, then that's when I think the
Because the
city.
streetlights are in place at the final plat.
I think that's the time to do it. And if they petition the city, you know, probably I'll pay the bill. Because you got neighbors, you know, houses built occupied.
This still says they have to ask, they have to come.
That's right.
So Kevin, then would you all, would your department would put in place the distance and all the other regulations that's required?
That's already done.
That already is in place, so we do meet that criteria to put it.
That was actually adopted in 2012, the streetlight policy by the council, so.
Mr. Rimmer, you got something?
Yes, sir. If you
How
don't
many
mind.
cameras you putting in?
199. I totally misspoke earlier. It is a Westervelt, not the WASP that this would be with. So if we could modify
Yeah, about the
I
other
just,
entrances.
I just went brain dead.
Yeah. I
The
know.
gray hair does it, so if we can change that to I'll get with Western.
Make amendment to my original motion to Westerville as opposed to Lost. Thank you, sir.
Thank you much.
You can still put those cameras in.
Yes, sir. We have them out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there is one more.
Yeah.
All right. Any more discussion about street lights? All right, let's go on to non-conforming lots on, or for record, or on record, what is it?
Of record.
Of record. What are you asking for?
Okay. You want to explain this?
When y'all changed the zoning, or maybe not y'all, but when the zoning changed last time, it increased the lot size on just about every zone we have. So what that basically did was made every lot, or almost every lot, non-conforming. Platted lot, non-conforming. Take for example, Brentwood Hills. If you have a lot in Brentwood Hills, most of those lots now would not meet the minimum requirements for the zone we currently have.
Camden Cove.
Camden Cove is one. So there's, I don't think there's any more
I
lots.
think everything
there's
on
two.
Brentwood Hills is 50 foot wide.
Hmm?
I think everything in Brentwood Hills is 50 foot wide.
Probably is, yeah. So this would basically say, it's not that, right? That's not ours, that's not
No,
ours.
that was what Alabaster said.
Yeah. But basically what it would say, when our last zoning was updated, any lot created after this date has to go by those rules, by the new rules, and it eliminates all the problems with the older lots.
What about reconstructing a house, say a natural disaster, fire, whatever?
It would go under the same,
Yeah, because the lot has not changed.
The lot has not changed, but they
Lot
would be
didn't
able to rebuild without any problem.
These are lots that have already been built on.
No, lots that have not been built.
or have been built on.
Well, yeah, all
I
right.
mean, basically, you've got a lot in Camden Cove, your house burned. Well, by our standards today, you
Yeah.
can't build that house back because the lot doesn't meet the size, and you can't meet the setbacks, you can't meet anything. And you've got to build a house
Bigger house,
500 square foot larger than what's in that neighborhood.
that you may not be able to fit still in that.
Yeah.
There's still vacant lots in Brentwood.
Yes,
Oh,
that was what's causing a lot of problem, that and over on Deborah Drive, over,
Over
that
towards
side.
the park, all that area is the same way.
and they're all having to go before the Board of Adjustments, and they really shouldn't, because you can't change it when there's nothing, you know, you can't buy another lot because there's nothing beside you, because there's houses on both sides.
Yeah.
At one time, we'll call them non-conforming because at one time they did conform to the
Right,
zoning.
so the zoning changed.
When they changed it, they became non-conforming, so.
And every time you change the zoning ordinance and you up the size of the lots, you change what's already platted and existing, you've made it non-conforming now.
So will the date be when we updated our zones? Is that
Yeah,
when?
it'll be
I think it's the, whatever the date on the book.
February 6, 2023.
So anything platted before that date would go by what's the neighborhood zoning is. Anything newly platted after that, say you've got an acre in the middle of Brentwood Hills, you decide to make it into 4 lots, it would have to go by the new standards, because you're platting it.
But we're referring to just the non-conforming lots. Okay.
And they're scattered all out. They're scattered behind the schools, they're different places in town.
Louis actually had to come get it to the Board of Adjustments to get for 2 lots in Camden Cove, because when he went to build on them, it had changed, and they didn't meet the 70 foot anymore. And he couldn't meet the setbacks.
We're talking about setbacks, what about the facade?
The facade, you can hold them to the facade, but the way everybody else has worked it is, it's like what's normal to that neighborhood.
Exactly, well, because I know he wants to build, like, if everybody else has vinyl and you have to build all
Exactly.
brick.
And you have to
You know,
go
your
all
house
brick.
is already gonna be out
Yeah.
pricing, so I get that.
You still want that to be a case by case, I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah.
If I could, sorry. This has been something on the zoning board of adjustments, like all our cases. This is what we do, and every one of these cases we have, it's pretty much the same thing. It's almost a rubber stamp at that point, and getting rid of this would cut loose having so many of those cases that come up are repetitive. It worries me because of just trying to stay consistent with that much stuff going on. And really, if it's a little further forward in the process, it's kind of like it's taking away any recourse anybody has because they're immediately going to the zoning board of adjustments. So then it's just courts after that instead of coming to us over special cases. But I think it would really streamline the zoning board of adjustments. Then we'd be looking at cases that were really unique. But honestly, in all the ones we've done, since we had the zoning official certification, I can't remember a single one that we've done where everybody on the board didn't agree unanimously that it had created a hardship for them. And it's putting people in a place where they've got to build bigger and better, and it's way out of context with the older subdivisions. So I think I'd vote for this in a heartbeat just because it's going to fix a lot of problems. If there's problems with this later, tweak it.
Kenny, you and I have talked about this a few times. You've experienced it.
I'm for change.
Are y'all done talking
Y'all good with
about?
that?
Y'all good with it?
We're good.
Because I won't put it on the next meeting, but I have to post them.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right, parking standard.
Basically, this one is just taking out that highlighted parking shall be located inside or rear of the unit. It's just making it hard to place a house in a lot when you got parking on the side. If you put parking in the rear, you're basically doing away with backyard. And, a lot of people like having a backyard. But that's all that one is just removing that from those. You can see the ones listed is from those zones.
We had a problem with that on one of the commercials too.
That was the
No,
apartment.
that was apartments. That was apartments.
But it's not
And
changed.
it's not coming out of that. It's not coming out of that far forward. Everything else though will stay. The store parking places, they have to be off the right of way. Everything else stays. Just that highlighted part will be coming out.
That would totally be removed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with it. Anybody else?
I see where it's been an issue. I think it's good to release it and get it out.
And it's something you really won't be able to enforce anyway. I mean, you're gonna have a driveway in the front of your house, no matter how you build it, so.
Unless you have alleys.
Yeah,
unless you have-
we don't want them.
You don't want them.
So, and there's nothing stopping you from parking your car.
Parking there.
All right. Can you have that one for us by the next meeting?
Huh?
Sure will.
Okay.
That's easy.
All right.
These are easy.
I don't have anything else on my list. Anybody
To
else?
adjourn?
I have a motion.
Second.
All right, we're good.